Culture of Kiribati. Published December the 8th, 2017. Special characters are denoted as follows. And. Left and right parentheses. A bullet point. Contemporary Kiribati culture is centered on the family, the church and the sea. Its relative isolation Kiribati has allowed traditional values and skills to be maintained. Part 1. Material Culture. In 1963 Gerd Koch, a German anthropologist, carried out research in the islands of Kiribati to record traditional practices, and in 1965 he published The Material Culture of the Gilbert Islands. His field work produced 70 films of traditional practices and material culture. The Ethnological Museum of Berlin also holds approximately photos and an extensive collection of audio tapes, including music ethnological material made by Koch. Part 2. Social Problems. There are many social problems in Kiribati. Drinking alcohol is part of the culture, and consumption of toddy, a locally made fermented coconut juice, is widespread. Alcoholism is a common problem, especially on the main island Tarawa. Domestic violence is also common. Bubuti is a cultural practice such that a person may ask a neighbor for any material possession. If denied, the request can lead to a major loss of face, and so is rarely refused. This embedded cultural practice may explain the very low GDP of Kiribati as measured by the standards of developed nations. Part 3. Dueling. Kiribati has a history of contrived and ritualized duels. The armor was made of thickly woven senet, a kind of coconut fiber. The duelists wore helmets made of blowfish remains. The helmets were resilient and, due to the structure of blowfish, covered with many points, which had the ability of damaging weapons. The weapons resembled broadswords with a serrated edge created with many shark teeth. The duels were performed mostly for the purpose of settling disputes and maintaining honor. The practicality of the duels is debatable. Due to the difficulty of moving in this armor, falling over and becoming unable to get back up was common enough that duel assistants were required. Part 4. Kiribati Traditional Martial Arts. This entire article contains 0 references. Kiribati has been known for its traditional martial arts, which were kept within the secrets of several families for generations. The Kiribati arts of fighting, as opposed to Asian martial arts, are not often mentioned or even advertised to be known by the general public. Though there may be some noticeable parallels in principle to that of Asian martial arts, they are merely really different. For instance, generally, there is no kicking as in karate kicks or kung fu kicks, and speed is more important than power. A list of some of these traditional martial arts is as follows: Nabaka, Nakara, Ruabu, Tabiang, Taborara, Tabania, Tematoa, Tiruwaruwanaman, and Terotawiya. The essence of Kiribati traditional martial arts is the magical power of the spirits of the ancestral warriors. All these martial arts skills share one thing in common. That is, they came from an ancestral spirit. Nabaka is a martial art from the island of Abayang, originated from the person named Nabaka. Nabaka was a member of the crab clan called Tabakor Okau. The 3 ancestral female spirits of this clan, Natena Otara, Natemwana, and Naterayatobuki, which usually believed to manifest themselves with a female crab, came to him and taught him the fighting art. Tiruwaruwanaman was believed to be originated from 3 women, namely Mangataba, Newana and Nekoreoya, who played different roles in the performance of magical rite related with the martial art, including their brother Tarawa. The graveyard for Tarawa is on the land named Tiruwaruwanaman in the bush side, and remains of the 3 sisters, which are in the form of stone, cramp shell and made hole in the ground, are in the village side of the same named land, Tiruwaruwanaman. Nabaka, and Tiruwaruwaniman show similar resemblance of techniques, except that Nabaka usually works with one hand and basically uses only one stance, while Tiruwaruwaniman works with two hands and has more than a dozen different stances. Tiruwaruwaniman is a martial art from the island of North Tarawa. Tubiang is a martial art from the island of Abemama. It is called Tubiang because it belongs to every member of the village called Tubiang on Abemama Island. It uses speed and accuracy to take over an opponent. The common formula used in this form of martial art is, you give me one punch, I give you 4 punches. It was originated from an ancestral spirit called Terangerenj, commonly known in other versions of oral traditions as Teraka. He became manifested by a person called Karotu Tibui from Abemama Island, and this was the birth of Tubiang. According to oral traditions, this ancestral spirit traveled to Asia and was a source of origin for what is now known as karate, a reverse written form of the name Teraka. Oral traditions state that Ketu and Ukaiya conquered the whole of the southern Gilbert Islands and of the northern Gilberts. Muya, the warrior from Nikunau, he conquered Abemama prior the arrival of Ketu and Ukaiya, and that is why Ketu and Ukaiya were not very serious about Abemama. They came to confirm the ownership of Muya, whom his siblings started the kingdom of Abemama, and claimed more prior leaving the island. This explains why the king there owns a lot of land. In fact, the name Tubiang originates from Beru such as Taboyoki and Awotakia in Anote. Nakara and Ruabu were originated from the island of Ntao in the Ellis Islands, now called Tuvalu. Oral traditions stated that Nakara and Ruabu were adopted from the styles of Lup Intao, who derived his martial arts from his ancestral spirit, through Tikatiki, who again came from Beru. The basics of Nakara and Ruabu work mainly on wrestling techniques. Ruabu applies more of wrestling and hand combat combination, while Nakara mainly develops focus on wrestling techniques. As a common saying in Kiribati states, when fighting a Nakara expert, never come in close contact with him. The two forms of martial arts are practiced throughout the southern Gilbert Islands, but originally began on the islands of Tamana and Aurora. In 1963, Gerd Koch filmed self-defense techniques of Kiribati. Wrestling. Rabiti. Defense of attacks with stabbing weapons. And Rafe Goro. Armed attacks. On Nonouti and also filmed Kiribati. Wrestling defense. Oro. Defense of unarmed attacks. And Rifukai. Defense of armed attacks. On Anote. Part 5. Music. Kiribati folk music is generally based around chanting or other forms of vocalizing, accompanied by body percussion. Public performances in modern Kiribati are generally performed by a seated chorus, accompanied by a guitar. However, during formal performances of the standing dance, Tikaimatoa, or the hip dance, Tibuki, a wooden box is used as a percussion instrument. This box is constructed so as to give a hollow and reverberating tone when struck simultaneously by a chorus of men sitting around it. Traditional songs are often love-themed, but there are also competitive, religious, children's, patriotic, war and wedding songs. There are also stick dances, which accompany legends and semi-historical stories. These stick dances, or tire, pronounced siaria, are only performed during major festivals. Part 6. Dance. The uniqueness of Kiribati when compared with other forms of Pacific Island dance is its emphasis on the outstretched arms of the dancer and the sudden bird-like movement of the head. The frigate bird. Frigata minor. On the Kiribati flag refers to this bird-like style of Kiribati dancing. Most dances are in the standing or sitting position with movement limited and staggered. Smiling whilst dancing as seen in the modern Hawaiian hula is generally considered vulgar within the context of Kiribati dancing. This is due to its origin of not being solely as a form of entertainment but as a form of storytelling and a display of the skill, beauty and endurance of the dancer. Part 7. Literature. There have been few published Kiribati literary writers. Teresi Atiwa stands out as one of the most notable. Part 8. Bubuti system. The Bubuti system occurs when one is in need of some item and may borrow it from a friend, relative or neighbor. Culturally speaking, it is shameful to refuse such a request, but situation and context does have a bearing on the outcome. Part 7. Literature. Die Materialkulte der Gilbertinseln, Berlin, Museum für Völkerkunde. 1965. The English translation by Guy Slater was published as The Material Culture of Kiribati, University of the South Pacific in Suva. 1986. This recording is a derivative work from Wikipedia. For more information, please visit www.frogcast.org.